Hello and welcome to Vaccine Administration Software, or VAS training for facility coordinators. This training will cover the responsibilities of the facility coordinator. It will provide a step-by-step checklist on the processes from start to finish, including obtaining consents, placing a vaccine order with the pharmacy, receiving the order, and submitting a post-clinic report out to the pharmacy. In another video for vaccine administrators, we will cover recording vaccine administration using VAS. Please watch the manufacturer-specific videos in the help section of VAS for any questions on preparing and administering the vaccine. There are two primary user roles in VAS, the Facility Coordinator, or FC, and the Vaccine Administrator, or VA. The Facility Coordinator, or FC, should be someone in a leadership role at the facility, such as an administrator, executive director, health and wellness director, or a resident care coordinator. The FC is responsible for managing patient profiles and consents, adding user accounts, scheduling patients for vaccination, placing vaccine orders to the pharmacy, assigning in-use manufacturer lot through vaccine inventory in VAS on the day of vaccinations, and submitting a post-clinic report out to the pharmacy. A vaccine administrator, or VA, is a licensed professional trained to administer vaccines. A VA is responsible for recording vaccine administration in VAS. The FC must be on site at the facility during vaccine administrations and is also responsible for ensuring that the VA has recorded all vaccine administrations in VAS. Failing to manage these responsibilities could jeopardize your facility's eligibility to continue participating in the Road to Recovery vaccination program. The pharmacy is responsible for reporting the vaccine administrations that are recorded within VAS to State Immunization Information Systems, or IIS. Displayed is a step-by-step checklist of the process from start to finish. The FC will initially add eligible patients into VAS. They will provide those patients with a vaccine EUA. They will obtain consents either manually or electronically through VAS. They will schedule consented patients for vaccination in VAS, and then they will also place an order to the pharmacy in VAS. The facility will then receive the supply from the pharmacy at a designated delivery location. The FC on the day of vaccination will update the in-use vaccine inventory in VAS. Then the FC or VA will complete patient pre-vaccination screening. The VA will dilute the vaccine 30 minutes before starting vaccination administrations for the Pfizer vaccine. The VA will screen persons to receive vaccine against current CDC guidelines for that vaccine. So that's making sure that your patient is within the age range or any other sort of guidelines imposed by the CDC. The VA will then administer the vaccine and record that administration in VAS. The VA, following the administration, will monitor the patient for any sort of allergy reactions or adverse events. If there are any adverse events, the FC or the VA will report this in VAERS. Finally, the FC will update the patient consent status in VAS post-vaccination if changed. So, for example, if the patient decides that they do not want to receive their booster dose, you would want to make sure to go in and update that in VAS. The FC will then submit a post-clinic report out to the pharmacy. This will let the pharmacy know if any of the allergy reaction medications were used during the vaccinations, and then we will replenish that. And after all have been vaccinated, the facility will return the vaccine cooler to the pharmacy with their regular return. Patients are eligible to be added to VAS if they meet the minimum age requirements for the vaccine that will be ordered. Currently, the Pfizer vaccine is authorized for age groups 16 years of age and older, and Moderna is authorized for 18 years of age and older. Please ensure to always refer to the CDC's most recent information on authorized age groups and other requirements to be vaccinated. A patient is also eligible to added in VAS if they are a resident of the facility, a staff member, a life enrichment person, or associated staff such as student interns that are commonly in your building, physicians commonly in your building, home health, or hospice, for example. Non-resident patients must also meet state-specific requirements for vaccine allocation. So that's your life enrichment persons. If your state isn't imposing a 65 years or older requirement to be vaccinated, your life enrichment person must also be 65 years and older. Once patients are added in VAS, they are eligible to be scheduled for vaccination if they have either not received a first dose of vaccination, or if they have received a first dose of vaccination, they must also meet the minimum dosing schedule. So for the Pfizer vaccine, that's 21 days with a 4-day grace period at the beginning. So you're looking at a minimum of 17 days between doses 1 and 2. For the Moderna vaccine, that's 28 days, also with a 4-day grace period, so a minimum of 24 days between doses 1 and 2. This next section will show you how to add patients and obtain consents using VAS. To add a new patient in VAS, you'll want to make sure you're under the My Patients section on the left-hand navigation pane. Next, you'll click Add Patient. Complete all of the required fields with an asterisk to be able to create the new patient record. Your patient type can either be resident, staff, or community. Community will be used for those life enrichment persons that does not fall under resident or staff. If you plan to obtain your consent electronically through email, you'll want to make sure to include an email address for that consent to send to. Now that our resident record is complete, we can click Create New Patient. You'll receive a notification down here at the bottom that lets you know that your record has been created successfully, and an email notification will go to the email listed in the patient record to obtain the electronic consent. If the consent type selected was email during the creation of the resident record, they will receive an email that looks just like this, where they can click on the link to complete the electronic consent. Before they can complete the electronic consent, they will be required to enter their date of birth. They will know that their consent has been received successfully by the notification that pops up once they've submitted the form. In VAS, their consent status will automatically update to obtained. Their scheduled status will still remain at no until you're prepared to schedule them for vaccination. If consent must be obtained manually rather than through the email electronic route, there are additional fields of information required before the resident or patient can be scheduled for vaccination. Ensure to complete all fields with an asterisk here under the personal information required, the insurance coverage information, and the patient contact information. VAS will not allow scheduling of a vaccination until these fields are complete for a manual consent type. This next part of the training will cover identifying consents that are still needed. To identify consents that are still needed, make sure you're under the My Patients section on the left-hand navigation pane. Click on the filtering option to begin to filter the list. Under the consent status filter, change all to needed. Now you'll be able to identify those consents that are still needed. You can click on the entry to see if this was a manual consent type or an email consent type. Here under the personal details, you'll be able to identify a consent type, either manual or email. If this was an email consent type, you can click here under Resend Consent to send the consent through an email request again. This next part of the training will cover scheduling patients for vaccinations in VAS. To schedule a specific patient for vaccination, make sure you're under the My Patients section on the left-hand navigation pane. Under the search section, you can begin to type the patient's name. Once the patient pulls up, click on the drop-down arrow under the Scheduled column and select Yes. If you want to identify all patients that are eligible to be scheduled, select the filter option, select the scheduled filtered section, click No. Under the consent status filter, click Obtained. Now you will be able to see all patients that are eligible to be scheduled that are not currently scheduled. If your patient has already received a first dose and a booster dose, do not schedule them for vaccination. If they've only received a first dose and they are within the allotted time between first and second dose, you can schedule them for their booster dose. Click on the drop-down arrow and change your no to yes. If they have not received a vaccination at all before, they can be scheduled for vaccination. Again, click on the drop-down and change to yes. This next part of the training will cover adding user accounts into VAS. To add a user account, click on the Manage Accounts section on the left-hand navigation pane. Here you'll be able to create user accounts. Click Create User and complete the fields with asterisks. Remember, for security roles, the vaccine administrator is the person that will be administering the vaccine. The facility coordinator is someone who will be managing consents, patient profiles, scheduling patients, and submitting orders to the pharmacy for vaccine. A vaccine administrator can also be a facility coordinator. Assign them a facility. If your vaccine administrator will be working through multiple facilities, such as an assisted living facility and a skilled facility, you can select both. The facility coordinator setting up the account must also be a user within both facilities to be able to assign a vaccine administrator to both facilities. Enter a first name and a last name and an email address. It's very important that the email address is entered correctly, otherwise the user will not be able to log into VAS. Complete the phone number, licensed ID, license state, and license type. These three pieces of information are only required if the user is a vaccine administrator. Once you're finished, hit the Create User button. The new user will receive an email notification letting them know that an account is being created. Please make sure they check their junk emails. If they do not receive an email, it's likely because the email address was entered incorrectly. Double check the email address entered for the user account. Once they receive the email, they'll want to log into the site. The first time they ever log in, they'll need to make sure to select this first time login, click here to claim account. If they do not do this first, they will not actually be able to access VAS. Once they've clicked that option, they'll receive a second email that will give them a code to claim their account and set up a password. Then they can log in and begin to use VAS. This next section in the training will cover placing a vaccine order to the pharmacy. To place an order with the pharmacy for the vaccine, select the order link on the left-hand navigation pane. An order form will pull up to be completed. Make sure you complete all required fields before submitting the order to the pharmacy. Select your servicing pharmacy, your scheduled date for vaccinations. This is the date that you plan to administer the vaccines to your patients, not the date that you're placing the order or the date that you expect the vaccine to arrive from the pharmacy. Please remember there is a 48-hour window between when the order is placed and when the vaccine will arrive at your community. Orders also will not be processed on the weekends. Complete the attestation that your vaccine administrators have received additional training on how to handle the vaccine and administer, as well as how to record vaccinations within VAS. Complete your facility name and indicate whether this is for your assisted living, skilled living, or memory care buildings. If your building has multiple delivery sites, please specify which delivery location to send the vaccine. Make sure to include your facility point of contact name. That should be your facility coordinator who's filling out the order form. Include their email address for contact information in case there are any discrepancies or concerns with the order placed. Specify a facility point of contact phone number, and indicate how many doses of the vaccine that you will require. Remember, each vac pack contains 6 doses for the Pfizer vaccine. Each vac pack will also include the following materials in preparation for administration. Next, you'll also want to make sure that you attest to the other attestations here down below before you'll be able to submit the order form to the pharmacy. Finish the order form by entering your first and last name and selecting Submit. If you need to cancel out of the order, make sure to press the X button on your browser. The next section of this training will cover assigning vaccine inventory in VAS. Remember, the vaccine inventory must be assigned prior to your vaccine administrators being able to record administration within VAS. To assign an in-use lot, select the Vaccine Inventory tab on the navigation pane. Once you're in the Vaccine Inventory section of VAS, select Edit. Select the appropriate lot number that's listed on the vaccine vial with your pharmacy delivery. Click Add. Finally, click Save. This will be the lot number that's recorded with each administration for that day. If you are no longer using this lot and are now using a new lot for your next vaccination day, you'll do the opposite. You'll click Edit, select the vaccine under the In-Use section, click Remove, select the new vaccine lot for your vaccination day, click Add, and click Save. The next section of the training will cover submitting a post-clinic report out to the pharmacy. The inventory report out must be submitted to the pharmacy at the end of the day once all vaccinations are complete. Select the inventory report out option on the left-hand navigation pane. Complete all required information on the form. Most importantly, make sure to specify whether any emergency supplies were used to treat any adverse reactions during your vaccinations. This will allow the pharmacy to know whether medication is needed to be replenished. If there were any adverse events, please make sure to report these to VAERS. This last section of the training will cover how to extract vaccination records from VAS. To extract vaccination records from VAS, select the My Patients tab on the left-hand navigation pane. Select the Exports Patients button. This will export as an Excel document that can be saved on your desktop to use for reporting in your EMR systems.